The chocolate milk was still dripping from her hair when my daughter looked straight through the cafeteria crowd and found me, her father, frozen behind the security monitor, watching her world collapse in real time. I should have been in that room, not hiding in the security office like a coward, pretending to fix a camera malfunction, while 600 teenagers held up their phones to record my Raven's humiliation. But that's the thing about witness protection. You're never really where you need to be. 3 days earlier, none of this would have made sense. Raven had perfected the art of invisibility at Preston Academy. She'd inherited that from me, I suppose. 20 years of stunt work teaches you that the best position is just outside the spotlight. Close enough to catch someone if they fall. Far enough away that nobody remembers your face. After her mother died, after that last job went sideways in ways the lawyers made me promise never to discuss, we'd both gotten very good at disappearing. "Dad, it's fine." She'd said that Tuesday morning, pushing eggs around her plate. "Nobody even knows I exist." That's not fine, Ray. That's survival. She'd given me that look, Lisa's look, the one that said I was being overprotective again. You can't wrap me in bubble wrap forever. This isn't a movie set. There's no stunt coordinator calling cut if things get dangerous. If only she knew how wrong she was. If only I'd told her that Derek Hawthorne had been watching her for weeks. That his father, suspended Detective Brad Hawthorne, had been asking questions about our relocated family. That the universe has a sick sense of humor about putting the children of dirty cops and hidden witnesses in the same prestigious Miami private school. But I'd kept quiet, like always, like I'd been trained to do. The thing about Preston Academy is that it looks perfect from the outside. Pristine white buildings overlooking Biscayne Bay. Kids in designer uniforms. College acceptance rates that make parents write those $50,000 donation checks without blinking. What the brochures don't mention is the underground economy that runs through those hallways, like blood through veins. Fake IDs, test answers, party drugs, and at the center of it all, Derek Hawthorne, 17 years old with eyes like his father's, cold, calculating. The kind of kid who'd figured out that in a school full of rich parents too busy covering their own scandals. You could build an empire if you were smart about it. If you're feeling that rush of what's going to happen next, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these stories. And if you want to share where you're watching from, drop it in the comments below. For those who want to support more stories like this one, there's a thanks button right under this video. Every contribution, no matter how small, helps me bring you more inspiring tales of courage and standing up for what's right. Thank you for being here. Now, let's see what happens when push comes to shove. Raven had noticed him before he noticed her. That was her gift, seeing patterns. Reading the room, inherited from years of watching me choreograph fight scenes. She knew which kids bought their Adderall from Derek's crew, which teachers looked the other way, which security guards had unexplained cash for their kids' braces. She kept it all in that worn notebook she carried everywhere, the one with her mother's initials on the cover. "Why do you write everything down?" I'd asked her once. "Because Mom always said the most dangerous stories are the ones nobody's willing to tell." Lisa would have been proud of her. Terrified, but proud. The Tuesday that changed everything started like any other. Raven in the corner of the cafeteria, reading some Japanese comic book, invisible by choice. I was in my usual spot, the security office, hired as a consultant thanks to forged credentials and a principal who didn't ask too many questions about my background. Through the monitors, I watched my daughter the way I used to watch actors on set, checking their positions, anticipating danger. That's when I saw Derek notice her. Really notice her. He was standing by the vending machines with his crew, 6 kids who dressed like they were auditioning for a teen drama about beautiful sociopaths. Something made him turn, and his eyes locked onto Raven with the kind of intensity that made my hands clench. He said something to his lieutenant, a kid named Tyler, whose father owned 3 dealerships and asked no questions about his son's new Rolex. Tyler shook his head, but Derek was already moving. I should have gone to her then. Should have found some excuse to walk through that cafeteria. But Officer Daniels was sitting right beside me, and he'd been asking too many questions lately about my Hollywood background. And so I watched through the screen as Derek approached my daughter, feeling like I was watching a horror movie where you know the protagonist is about to open the wrong door. "Hey," Derek said, sliding into the seat across from her. Even through the security camera, I could see Raven's shoulders tense. "You're the new girl, right? The one who transferred in last semester." Raven didn't look up from her book. "Not new, just quiet." "Quiet's good. Quiet means you notice things." He leaned forward, and I saw him tap something on the table, a small white envelope, the kind I'd seen passed between his crew 100 times. "My friend Tyler's throwing a party this weekend. Exclusive thing. You should come." "I don't do parties. Everyone does parties. Just costs different amounts for different people." He slid the envelope closer. "Consider this an invitation. $200 for party supplies." That's when Raven finally looked up, and even from the grainy security feed, I could see Lisa's fire in her eyes. "I don't have $200. "Sure you do. Everyone at Preston has money. Even the scholarship kids find ways to contribute to the community." "What community?" Derek's smile was his father's smile, the one I'd seen in interrogation rooms before our family entered protection. The one that keeps things running smooth. The one that makes sure nobody's secrets get shared in the wrong places. "You know about keeping secrets, don't you, Raven?" My blood went cold. He knew something, or thought he did. Raven closed her book slowly, deliberately. "The only secret I know is that you're about 3 inches too close to my personal space." Someone at a nearby table snickered. Derek's jaw tightened. In my years coordinating stunts, I'd learned to recognize the moment when controlled violence was about to become uncontrolled. This was that moment. "Funny," Derek said, but he wasn't smiling anymore. "You know what else is funny? How your dad got hired here with such a thin resume, how you two showed up in Miami with no family, no connections, like you just appeared out of nowhere. That's the kind of funny that makes people curious." "Curiosity killed the cat," Raven said. "And satisfaction brought it back." Derek stood up, taking the envelope with him. "Think about my offer. Because girls who don't contribute to the community, they tend to have accidents, spill things on their clothes, trip in hallways, get their lockers mixed up with ones full of contraband. Tragic stuff." He walked away, and I watched my daughter sit perfectly still for 30 seconds before her hands started shaking. She was scared not of Derek, but of what his attention meant, of the questions he might ask, of the past we'd run 3,000 miles to escape. That night. She didn't mention the encounter, neither did I. We ate Chinese takeout in front of the TV, pretending to watch some comedy special, both lost in our own calculations. I was thinking about exit strategies, new cities, how to disappear again without raising suspicions. She was thinking well. I didn't know what she was thinking until I found her notebook 3 days later. She'd written everything down. Derek's organization chart, the teachers he'd compromised, the security guards on his payroll, the parents who knew but stayed quiet because their own kids were customers. And at the bottom, circled 3 times, parking lot B, Tuesday nights, college dealers, cash only. My daughter had been building a case. You followed him. I'd confronted her that Thursday night. The notebook between us like evidence at a trial. I didn't have to follow him. He does his deals 50 feet from the AP chemistry lab. He's not even careful about it. She looked at me with those eyes that were so much like her mother's. Someone should stop him. Or not you. Not us. We're not heroes. Ray, we're survivors. What's the point of surviving if you let people like him win? The point is, you stay alive. You graduate. You go to college far away from here and become whatever you want to be. What if I want to be someone who stands up to bullies? I didn't have an answer for that. Lisa would have. She always knew the right thing to say when our daughter's sense of justice burned too bright. But Lisa was gone, and I was just a washed-up stunt coordinator hiding behind fake credentials. Watching my daughter inch closer to a fight she couldn't win. Friday morning came like a countdown timer running out. Raven wore her mother's necklace, the silver star Lisa bought in Thailand on our honeymoon. She never wore jewelry to school, said it attracted attention. But that morning, she clasped it around her neck like armor. You okay? I asked, pouring coffee I wouldn't drink. Derek's throwing his party tonight, she said. The whole school's talking about it. Apparently, if you don't show up with a donation, you're marked as antisocial, and antisocial kids have accidents. We could leave, pack up, drive north. I've got contacts in… No. She cut me off, and for a moment, I saw the woman she was becoming. Strong, stubborn, unwilling to run from a fight. I'm tired of disappearing, Dad. Mom wouldn't have run. Your mother died because she didn't run. The words hung between us like a slap. Raven's eyes filled with tears she wouldn't let fall. She died because someone needed to be stopped, and she was the only one brave enough to try. She grabbed her backpack, headed for the door. Maybe I'm more like her than you want me to be. She left before I could respond, before I could tell her that being like her mother was what terrified me most. I got to school early, settled into the security office, pulled up the cafeteria feeds, waited. Officer Daniels was off duty, something about his kid's doctor's appointment. Small mercies. I had the monitors to myself, could watch my daughter navigate her day without explaining my intensity to anyone. First period. Second period. Everything normal. Raven in her usual seats, taking notes. Invisible to everyone but me. I started to think maybe Derek had moved on, found easier targets. Then came lunch. The cafeteria filled with its usual chaos, 600 teenagers jockeying for position in the social hierarchy. Raven took her corner table, pulled out her book, tried to disappear into the pages. But I could see what she couldn't, Derek entering from the south entrance. His crew flanking him like an honor guard. He was carrying something. A cup, moving with purpose. My hand reached for the door, then stopped. If I burst into that cafeteria now, it would raise questions, blow our cover, end whatever fragile stability we'd built here. So I watched, hating myself, as Derek approached my daughter's table. Last chance, he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Community donation. 200. Or things get messy. Raven looked up from her book, and I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Not fear, not anger, resolution. "I already made my donation," she said, clear as a bell. "Tuesday night, parking lot B, ask your college friends about the camera they didn't notice, the one that caught you skimming from the stash." The cafeteria went quiet in waves, like someone had thrown a stone into still water. Derek's face cycled through confusion, realization, and rage in the space of 3 heartbeats. "You're lying." "Am I?" Raven pulled out her phone, held it up. "Want me to airdrop the video to everyone here? Or should I just post it to the school's Instagram #Preston Academy drug dealer would trend pretty quick? Don't you think?" Someone gasped. Phones started appearing. Students sensing drama like sharks smelling blood. Derek's crew exchanged nervous glances. In the drug business, skimming from suppliers wasn't just theft. It was a death sentence. "You stupid little—" Derek grabbed for her phone. Raven pulled it back, the cup in his other hand tilted. Splashed. Chocolate milk everywhere. But that wasn't enough for Derek. As Raven stood, trying to escape the spreading puddle, he grabbed her dress. "You want to play games? Let's see how tough you are when everyone's watching." The fabric tore with a sound like the world ripping apart. Time slowed the way it does on set during a stunt gone wrong. I saw my daughter standing there, dress torn from shoulder to hip, chocolate milk dripping from her hair, 600 phones rising like weapons. Saw Derek's satisfied smirk as he held up his own phone. Live streaming to Instagram, to TikTok, to whatever digital coliseum teenagers used to destroy each other these days. "Look at this, Preston Academy," he shouted to his screen. "This is what happens when nobodies try to threaten their betters. When trash forgets its place, I was already moving. Badge be damned, cover blown to hell. But I was 40 feet away, through 2 doors, past hundreds of kids. I wouldn't make it in time." That's when Raven smiled. Not a victim's smile. Not tears or shame or defeat. The smile I'd seen her mother wear before attempting a stunt everyone said was impossible. The smile that said, "You have no idea who you're dealing with." She pulled off her oversized hoodie in one smooth motion, tied it around her waist like a battle flag. Underneath, she wore a black tank top, the kind stunt performers wear under costumes. Practical. Built for movement. "You want a show?" Her voice carried across the silent cafeteria. "Let's give them IMAX. And my daughter, my quiet." Invisible Daughter launched herself onto the nearest table like she was born to fly. The laws of physics don't change just because your daughter's in danger. Gravity still pulls at 9.8 meters per second squared. Momentum still equals mass times velocity. But watching Raven move through that cafeteria, I understood why ancient people believed in magic. She didn't just jump, she flew, table to table, using lunch trays as springboards. Her movements so fluid, it looked choreographed. Which, in a way, it was. All those Saturdays she'd spent on sets with me, watching stunt performers practice their runs, all those evenings in our garage, working through basic parkour moves because she said it helped her think. I'd thought I was indulging her. Turns out I'd been training her for this moment. "What the hell?" Derek's voice cracked as he spun, trying to track her movement with his phone. The live stream viewers were going insane, comments flooding the screen faster than anyone could read. Raven grabbed one of the hanging banners, Preston Academy Excellence in Education, and used it to swing across a 15-foot gap. The move was pure Jackie Chan. If Jackie Chan were a 16-year-old girl with chocolate milk in her hair and vengeance in her heart. "Get her!" Derek screamed at his crew, but they stood frozen. These were drug dealers, not athletes. They could intimidate freshmen and count money, but they'd never faced someone who moved like gravity was optional. I pushed through the cafeteria doors just as Raven landed on the condiment station. Ketchup bottles went flying. Someone screamed. 300 phones tracked her movement like she was the Super Bowl halftime show. "Raven!" I shouted, but my voice was lost in the chaos. She looked at me across the sea of teenagers, and for a split second, I saw her mother. Not just the resemblance, Lisa's dark eyes, her determined jaw, but the spirit, the absolute refusal to be anyone's victim. Then the cafeteria screens flickered, all 6 of them, usually reserved for lunch menus and school announcements, went black, then blue, then filled with security footage I recognized immediately. Parking lot B, Tuesday night, clear as daylight, despite the darkness. Because whoever filmed this knew exactly where to position the camera for optimal night vision. There was Derek, meeting with 2 older guys in University of Miami hoodies. Money changed hands. Lots of it. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was when Derek opened his trunk and pulled out a second bag, one his suppliers clearly weren't expecting. "That's our cut," one of them said on the crystal-clear audio. Actually, Derek's voice rang through the cafeteria speakers. "I'm implementing a handling fee, 20% off the top. You want to reach the Preston market. You go through me. Those are the new terms." The cafeteria had gone tomb silent. Even Raven paused, perched on top of the pizza warming station, to watch the drama unfold on screen. The video jumped cut professional editing. Now Derek was in what looked like his bedroom, counting money. Serious money. Stacks of hundreds. He was talking to someone off camera. They'll never know. I'd tell them the college guys raised prices. Pocket the difference. By the time they figure it out, I'll have enough to buy my way into the real game. Another cut. Derek in the school parking lot. Broad daylight. Making another deal. This time with someone's mom. I recognized her from parent-teacher conferences. A pharmaceutical sales rep whose son had ADHD. She was buying her own kid's Adderall back from Derek at street prices because he'd stolen it from their medicine cabinet during a study group. "Jesus!" someone whispered near me, but the video wasn't done. The final clip was time-stamped 3 days ago. Derek in his car, talking on speakerphone. "I don't care if she's nobody. She saw too much. Either she pays up and joins the team, or we make her life hell until she transfers. Or worse, I know guys who can make problems disappear." The screens went black. Then, in letters 20 feet tall, "Plot twist." That's when Phoenix Chen stood up. I'd never paid attention to the kid before. Skinny freshman, always hunched over a laptop. The kind of forgotten student who ate lunch in the computer lab. But now, he held his phone high, and his voice carried surprising authority. "For those wondering," Phoenix announced, "that video's already been sent to the DEA, the school board, and every parent in the Preston Academy directory. Oh, and Derek, your boy Tyler's been recording your conversations for months. Turns out he didn't appreciate you threatening his little sister when she refused to mule for you." Tyler Morrison, Derek's right hand, stepped away from the crew. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. "My dad didn't buy me this watch. You gave it to me to keep me quiet about what you did to Sophia. But I'm done being quiet." Derek's live stream was still running. 20,000 viewers were watching his empire crumble in real time. His face had gone from red to white, to a sick green color. "You're all gonna pay for this," he snarled, turning toward Phoenix, "starting with you. You little..." That's when Malik Thompson stepped out of the crowd. Malik was a linebacker, 6'3" and 230 pounds of muscle. He'd been part of Derek's inner circle since freshman year. Nobody crossed Malik because Malik didn't just hurt you, he hurt you strategically. Except Malik wasn't moving toward Phoenix. He was moving toward Derek. "Enough," Malik said, and that one word carried 3 years of exhaustion. "I'm done. We're all done." "You work for me?" Derek spat. "Your dad's a dirty cop. I own you." Malik smiled then, and it was the saddest smile I'd ever seen on a teenager. "My dad's not dirty, Derek. He's undercover. Has been for 2 years, building a case against your mom's pharmaceutical company and the pipeline she's been running through her son's high school connections." The silence that followed was so complete I could hear my own heartbeat. Every deal, every threat, every count of money, he's been reporting it all. The only reason they haven't arrested you yet is they were waiting for you to lead them to your mother's suppliers. But after what you just did to Raven... Malik pulled out his phone, hit a number. "Dad, yeah, we're done waiting." The sirens were already audible in the distance. Derek stood in the center of the cafeteria, his kingdom in ruins, his allies turned witnesses, his crimes playing on endless loop on 6 screens. He looked around wildly, searching for an exit, an escape, anything. His eyes landed on Raven, still perched above it all like an avenging angel in a chocolate-stained tank top. "You," he said, voice raw with rage. "This is all your fault. You planned this." Raven shook her head. "I didn't plan anything, Derek. I just refused to pay. The rest? That was all you. Well, you and the friends you thought you owned." She jumped down from the warming station, landing in a perfect 3-point stance that would have made any stunt coordinator proud. The cafeteria erupted in applause. Not mockery, not the cruel laughter of teenagers watching someone's humiliation. Real applause? Respect. "How?" Derek asked. And for the first time, he sounded like what he was, a scared 17-year-old who'd played with fire and gotten burned. "How did you know?" "She didn't," I said, finally finding my voice and my courage. I pushed through the crowd to stand beside my daughter. "But I did. Officer Daniels isn't really off duty today. He's coordinating with the DEA task force that's about to walk through those doors. He's been suspicious of me for weeks, my fake credentials, our sudden appearance in Miami. Turns out he was right to be suspicious, just not for the reasons he thought." Raven looked at me, confusion clear on her face. "Dad?" "I should have told you," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. To hell with witness protection. To hell with hiding. My daughter had just taken down a drug dealer in front of 600 witnesses. The least I could do was tell the truth. We're not in witness protection because of something I saw. We're in it because of what your mother did. She wasn't just a stunt coordinator, Ray, she was an informant. She documented the mob connections in Hollywood, the money laundering through film productions. She died getting that information to the FBI. Tears were running down Raven's face now, cutting tracks through the chocolate milk. She was a hero. She was, and apparently, so are you. I pulled her into a hug, not caring about the milk, the torn dress, the hundreds of cameras recording us. "I'm sorry I tried to make you small. I was so scared of losing you like I lost her that I forgot. The women I love don't run from bullies. They stand up and fight." The cafeteria doors burst open. DEA agents in tactical gear swept in, followed by uniformed Miami-Dade police. Derek didn't resist as they cuffed him. What was the point his crimes were playing on 6 screens and 20,000 Instagram feeds? As they led him past us, he stopped. For a second. The arrogance was gone, and I saw him for what he really was, a kid who'd chosen the wrong path and dragged others down with him. "My mom," he said quietly. "She's going to—" "Your mom's being arrested at her office right now," one of the agents said, not unkindly. "Maybe if you cooperate. Talk about her suppliers. The prosecutor might separate your cases. You're 17. There's still time to turn this around." They led him away, and the cafeteria exploded into chaos, students hugging, crying, filming, processing what they'd just witnessed. Teachers trying to restore order, administrators looking shell-shocked. In the middle of it all, Phoenix Chen approached us, laptop bag slung over his shoulder. "Thanks," he said to Raven, "for standing up when nobody else would." "I didn't do the tech stuff," she said. "That was all you." Phoenix grinned. "Yeah, but you gave us the courage to act. See, Derek had dirt on everyone. My browser history from before I learned about VPNs, Tyler's sister, Malik's dad's cover. We were all too scared to move. Until you showed us that being scared doesn't mean you have to stay silent." Other students were approaching now. Kids who'd been victims, who'd been customers, who'd been bystanders, all wanting to talk to the girl who'd brought down the king. "We should go," I murmured to Raven. "The FB will want to debrief us. Figure out if our cover's completely blown. We might have to relocate again." Raven looked around the cafeteria at Phoenix typing furiously on his laptop, at Malik talking to other students about coming forward, at the screens still cycling through Derek's crimes. Then she looked at me. "No," she said simply. "We're not running anymore. Mom died fighting for justice. The least we can do is live for it." Principal Morrison appeared at my elbow, looking haggard. "Mr. Cross, I think we need to talk about your employment situation." "I'm not really a security consultant," I said. "My credentials are forged. I'm just a guy who used to coordinate stunts and now watches cameras to keep his daughters safe." Morrison surprised me by laughing. "Mr. Cross, you just helped take down a drug ring that's been poisoning my school for 3 years. I don't care if you're really a circus clown. You're hired. Hell, I'm giving you a raise." The rest of the day blurred together. Police interviews, FBI check-ins, a call from our handler expressing both fury that we'd blown our cover and admiration for how we'd done it. Apparently, taking down the son of a dirty cop while exposing a pharmaceutical executive's drug pipeline qualified as exceptional circumstances. That night, Raven and I sat on our apartment balcony, looking out at Biscayne Bay. She'd showered off the chocolate milk, changed into comfortable clothes, but still wore her mother's star necklace. "Tell me about her," she said. "The real her, not the story you created to keep me safe." So I did. I told her about Lisa Chen, not Cross. That was our protection name. How she'd started as a stunt double but noticed money moving through productions in suspicious ways. How she'd spent 2 years documenting everything, risking her life to gather evidence. How she'd died in what everyone thought was a stunt gone wrong, but was really an assassination made to look like an accident. "They offered us protection after," I said. "New names, new city, new life. I thought if we stayed small, stayed quiet, we'd be safe." "But Mom didn't die to be forgotten," Raven said. "She died to make noise, to make change." "Yeah," I admitted. "She did." We sat in comfortable silence, watching boats navigate the bay. Finally, Raven spoke again. I want to learn more. Real training. Not just garage parkour. And I want to help other kids like Phoenix and Malik. Kids who are trapped by bullies who seem untouchable. That's dangerous thinking, I said. But I was smiling. Your mother had dangerous thoughts too. Good, Raven said. Someone needs to. Did you see how many kids came forward after Derek was arrested? 37 students admitted they'd been victims. 12 teachers confessed they'd been blackmailed into looking away. This isn't just about one school or one bully. It's everywhere. She was right. Of course, the story had already gone viral, not just the video of Raven's cafeteria parkour, but the larger narrative. A girl who refused to be victimized. Students who found courage in solidarity. A system that protected the powerful until someone said, enough. My phone buzzed. Officer Daniels, who, it turned out, had suspected I was hiding something but never imagined the truth. His text was simple. Your daughter's a hero. If you ever want a real job in security, call me. A week later, Preston Academy was a different place. Metal detectors at the entrances, but more importantly, a new culture. Kids wore shirts saying, "Be like Raven," and "Stand up, speak out." The school board implemented anonymous reporting systems and real oversight of student activities. Derek took a plea deal. 3 years in juvenile detention. Then probation conditional on him testifying against his mother's operation. His mom got 25 to life. The pharmaceutical pipeline that had been flooding Miami schools with pills got shut down. Tyler Morrison started a support group for students who'd been bullied into dealing. Phoenix Chen designed an app for anonymous reporting of school crimes. Malik Thompson gave talks about the pressure student-athletes faced to fit in, even when fitting in meant breaking the law. And Raven. She went back to being invisible. Mostly. Still sat in the corner of the cafeteria with her manga. Still kept that notebook, documenting patterns others missed. But now, kids knew she was there, watching, ready. You know what Mom would say about all this? She asked me one evening, after another FBI follow-up where they'd decided our cover, while blown, wasn't compromised enough to require relocation. What's that? That the best stunts are the ones that look impossible until someone's brave enough to try them. I thought about Lisa, about the risks she'd taken and the price she'd paid, about the daughter she'd left behind who'd inherited her courage and her sense of justice, about the man I'd become in trying to protect that daughter smaller than her mother would have wanted. But maybe that was changing too. You know what? I said. I think she'd also say that the best performances aren't solo acts. They require a team, people watching your back, ready to catch you if you fall. Raven smiled. Good thing I've got that now. A whole cafeteria full of backup. 6 months later, I was working as a legitimate security consultant for Miami-Dade schools, helping design systems that actually protected students instead of just monitoring them. Raven had started training at a real parkour gym, channeling her need for movement into something structured and safe. Well, safer. We still lived under our protection names, still checked in with handlers, still carried the weight of what we'd lost. But we'd stopped hiding, stopped making ourselves small, stopped pretending that survival was enough when justice was needed. The video of Raven in the cafeteria had been viewed 50 million times. News outlets called it the flip heard round the world. Sociologists wrote papers about youth activism in the digital age. Parents used it to talk to their kids about standing up to bullies. But for me, it would always be something simpler and more profound the moment my daughter chose to be her mother's child. Consequences be damned. The last time I visited Lisa's grave, her real grave, not the fake one, in our cover story, I brought Raven with me. We stood there in the Los Angeles cemetery, reading the stone that bore her real name. I wish I'd known her, Raven said, the real her. You do know her, I said. Every time you refuse to back down, every time you protect someone who can't protect themselves, every time you choose justice over safety, that's her, living through you. And you, Raven asked, when do you choose justice over safety? I thought about it, then pulled out my phone and showed her an email I'd been sitting on for weeks. An offer from a documentary filmmaker who wanted to tell Lisa's story, the real story of the stunt coordinator who'd exposed mob connections in Hollywood. I was thinking maybe it's time, I said. Time to stop hiding her light under witness protection. Time to let people know who she really was. Raven read the email, then looked at her mother's grave, then at me. She'd want that. The truth, finally. Yeah, I said, but it's dangerous. Once that story's out there, really out there, we can't take it back. The people she helped convict, their friends, their families, they'll know exactly where to find us. Dad, Raven said, and her voice carried all of her mother's steel. We faced down Derek Hawthorne in front of 600 witnesses and 20,000 live stream viewers. I think we can handle whatever comes next. She was right. We could handle it. Together. As we walked back to the car, Raven asked, do you regret it? Not staying invisible? I thought about the last year, the fear, the violence, the moment I'd watched my daughter get humiliated on camera and thought our carefully constructed world was ending. Then I thought about what came after. The students who'd found their voices. The systems that had changed. The daughter who'd learned she was strong enough to flip more than just bullies, she could flip entire narratives. No, I said honestly, I don't regret it. Your mom always said the most dangerous stories are the ones nobody's willing to tell. But you know what's even more dangerous? What? Living a story nobody would want to hear. We did that for too long, hidden, scared, small. I unlocked the car, looked back at the cemetery one last time. Lisa died making noise. The least we can do is keep making it for her. Raven smiled that same smile she'd worn in the cafeteria, right before she'd turned physics into poetry, and reminded 600 teenagers that gravity only wins if you let it. Then, let's make some noise, she said. And we did. We still do. Because that's what heroes do, not the comic book kind who wear capes and have superpowers, but the real kind. The ones who see bullies and refuse to pay, who watch systems fail and demand better, who take the skills they learned in secret and use them in the light. My name isn't really Cross. My daughter's name isn't really Raven. But the story I've told you, every flip, every revelation, every moment of courage in that cafeteria, that's as real as gravity. And just like my daughter proved that day, sometimes the best response to gravity isn't to submit to it. Sometimes you just have to learn how to fly. If you're reading this, maybe you're the quiet kid in the corner. Maybe you're the parent watching through security cameras, terrified of what might happen. Maybe you're the bully who thinks fear equals power. Or maybe you're just someone who needed to hear that standing up is possible, even when your knees are shaking. But here's what else I know. Every raven who stands up creates 10 more. Every phoenix who speaks truth creates 20. Every Malik who breaks free creates 100. The flip that changed everything wasn't just physical. It was the moment we all stopped accepting that power belongs to those who take it by force. It belongs to those brave enough to take it back.